योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं। हरिः ओम्। Open the eyes. As Patanjali has given Ashtanga, Patanjali has given Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhan. In the first chapter, Patanjali has given Abhyasa, Vairagya. These are given Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. Abhyasa and Vairagya are given after Patanjali explains the 5 vrittis and the trouble, the turbulence, the vrittis that are going to create for us. To counter that, Patanjali gives Abhyasa and Vairagya. B.K. Iyengar, Guruji, when he thought about bringing the yoga to every person from the medium of asana and pranayam, you can explore the rest of the things. In such a case, what is it if someone cannot do, or if someone is able to do and goes on an ego trip, what is it that can keep a counter check, a balance in their practice? If someone is not able to do, say, Uttanasana and go flat, if someone does not have an arm, what does that person do? Should they not be having the equal opportunity to practice? If someone has a particular condition, either by birth or by accident or just by, if life cycle takes a person, an individual to a difficult situation, should they not get benefited by the teachings of yoga? Guruji used props, same as Patanjali indicates that Tapa and Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhana, Abhyasa, Vairagya, Ashtanga, those Ashtangas are the props by which you can create that Viveka Khyati. We can use, while learning asanas, different props that Guruji has taught. In this session, we will look at some of the props and how those props are going to give us better experience, while even if someone can do an asana or someone is not able to do an asana, how can we get that experience richer with the use of some of the props. We have seen Uttanasana. We will start with Uttanasana. Now, Uttanasana, the classical position is where we go all the way down, press our palms and rest in that position. Now, is it just a person who is flexible should get the benefit of Uttanasana? If someone is a little elderly, you are 60 or wherever, in that case, should you not do Uttanasana? Or you should do Uttanasana in a different manner. Something which is appropriate at the age of 15 may not be appropriate at the age of 60, and that is living in the moment, accepting the moment. And in Guruji's teachings, with the use of props, we are able to experience that. So, if we take a simple prop which is like a household stool, you can just keep that stool, and now if you want to make that Uttanasana restful, just have a bolster depending on your height, 1 or maybe 2, just have those 2 bolsters, and rather than going all the way down, just be slightly away from that bolster, away from the stool, and just rest your forehead. Keep your feet apart and rest the forehead and allow your spine to be parallel to the floor. Most of the animals, the four-legged animals, they have their spine parallel to the floor and their ribcage is kind of gravitating. Find out in such an Uttanasana, we get that opportunity where our ribcage is not under any stretch. It will have the freedom, the ribcage will almost feel like being a hammock for the internal organs, your lungs, your heart, that will get an opportunity just to be in that hammock and be quiet. You may close your eyes, find out, keeping your legs firm, how your abdominal area, diaphragm, chest, back, everything gets an opportunity to be restful. So, quieten that head, quieten the brain. Then slowly, just pressing your palms on the stool, holding the bolsters, just come up. Does not that Uttanasana look much simpler? While people are going in the office, working throughout the day, if you do such an Uttanasana at the end of the day or even in the middle of the day, wouldn't it refresh? If on computer we are used to pressing that refresh button all the time, in this case it will refresh our brain, it will refresh our organs, and that Uttanasana will help us. Having refreshed ourselves a little bit, if we look at one of earlier props that Guruji used, or rather two props that Guruji used, one is the wall itself. When we are learning to do standing asanas, when we are learning to do different asanas, if we want to know if we are stable or not, if we are well aligned or not, if our Trikonasana, if our Ardha Chandrasana is happening with clarity or not, I am not able to find my balance in Ardha Chandrasana. For all those questions, the wall will come to our rescue. That is why Guruji probably has said in one of the places, wall is my Guru. Guru is that from whom we learn. So, we can learn from the wall itself. So, I am using a wooden brick. When Guruji started using the brick, he used the construction bricks. So, if I have to go to Ardha Chandrasana, I take the distance, I take the support of the wall. The wall gives me that stability. Turn that leg inside out, keep that back hand against the wall. So, there is no question of losing the balance. Shift your body weight on the brick, press your hand. Now, this wall is there to give you confidence, and then gradually lift that back leg and keep that also against the wall. Move your head and keep the head also against the wall. Press the top shoulder, the pelvic area, the back leg against the wall in such a manner that that wall is giving you full support, full confidence. Here, without having that struggle of balancing, that prayatna shaithilya of Ardha Chandrasana is much more available naturally, and by that you are able to spend the time. As I mentioned, that spending time in an asana is very important. So, while we are doing that supported Ardha Chandrasana, with the wall will give us that opportunity, that ease, that comfort, that we can simply stay in that Ardha Chandrasana longer than while we are in the middle, without becoming hard, without constantly struggling, and just relish that Ardha Chandrasana. Then you will come down and stand straight. Now, how simple is the use of brick? If I am not able to reach down, I may be flexible, but even in that case, when I use that brick, it gives me much more feedback. It has to, you have to have humility to use prop. You know, Guruji's props are not just for those who cannot do. Even if I am flexible and I can do, when I use a prop, it makes me that, it gives me that sense of humility. The point is, we should be able to learn from that. Just because I have the ego, I can balance and I stay in Ardha Chandrasana, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. At the end of it, if I am making such a statement, I can stay in Ardha Chandrasana for 5 minutes, that becomes an egoistic statement. Props also teach us how to get that corrected, that rectified. That reflection will come because of the use of prop. Having seen Uttanasana and one standing pose, which is Ardha Chandrasana, moving on, another household prop that Guruji often used is chair. For the chair, very often people have seen when we are doing those backward extensions, Urdhva Dhanurasana, Ushtrasana, Urdhva Dhanurasana we saw, Viparita Dandasana, Purvottanasana, how long can we hold that position? It becomes very difficult to hold that position, to stay in that position, to reflect in that position, to observe your breath in that asana. The moment we have such a chair, this does not have the backrest full. So, if you have such a chair, you can just add a couple of blankets. So, the moment you are adding those couple of blankets, you have to simply insert your legs and sit with your legs inserted, move a little forward, make sure that the chair is stable, keep your feet apart and just lie back. The moment you lie back, stay with your legs bent to start with. The moment you lie back, you can see how much of an expansion the front body receives. Even if you stretch out your legs, see that you are going closer to that Viparita Dandasana position. Of course, starting here, you can change the position, change the intensity even on the chair. So, you can keep the chair stable, shift all the way, shift further all the way, shift further and have your head rested, bring your hands like Shirshasana for Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. So, in this position we can stay much longer than actual Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. You have to keep your legs stable, insert yourself slightly into the chair and then pull yourself up to come up. If you notice, these props are available anywhere. Now, it happened to be this chair, it happened to be this stool, but you need to be slightly innovative. Just think about it. How can we make use of that prop? A belt, a blanket, all these things are there to help us, right. Coming to the next step, we will go for a twisting. Now, in the same chair, you are sitting on the same chair sideways, using the chair again for all the office goers, those who find it difficult to find separate time. Even in middle of your work, you can take a quick break and do this. Just sit sideways and with this hand you are pulling, with this hand you are pushing. Just create that rotation. Find how that back is turning, how the shoulders are turning, how much can you rotate. If you have a wall with it, what you can also do is release and see if you can catch onto the wall or something, a desk at the back, and just get a better rotation. Those who are constantly working on computers, your posture is stuck, you are 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours stuck in that position. So, you need to create that mobility. Just so that you see the back also, I will turn the chair on the other side. So, while you turn, find out how you can enhance that. If you take that back hand, the hand which is going away, which was pushing, you can take it and hold the seat of the chair and pull with this hand towards the backrest, whereas from the opposite hand you pull from the back hand to increase the action on that shoulder. Keep your spine upright, erect, and turn. Then you will release and come to the center. Now, we did a backward extension, we did a twisting, we did a standing position. When you have to work on your legs and you are so tired that you are not even able to stand, or even if you are able to stand, you want to increase the range of movement. A simple belt or a simple, you can use even your dupatta or something like that. A simple belt can be so helpful. When we are going for Supta Padangushthasana, you lie down on your mat and we are supposed to catch the foot. Now, if the foot is too far, if I am not able to hold, that simple belt can be used for your foot, and with that belt your arms become longer. Your arms become so long that you are able to catch that foot. Come on, try that. Lie straight on your back, hold that foot and straighten your leg. If you are not able to pull it to 90 degrees, even if it is a little lower, that is fine, but learn to straighten your legs. So, in this manner you can make your legs work as well as make your legs recover if they are fatigued. Then gradually you can increase the range, bring the leg closer, find out how much is the range of movement that you have with you. Then you have to change, put the belt to the other foot, again starting a little lower angle, learn to straighten, then pull, learn to straighten, further pull, increase the range, find out if your hamstring, your quadriceps, your glutes, your lower back, how this helps you to have your lower back grounded, and then pull further, then release. If you have put both your legs up and you have to hold the legs straight in this straight position without any support whatsoever, again it is much more effortful. If you want to make it with lesser efforts, use that belt again. Put both your feet, have your arms much longer, open that belt in such a position that you are able to bring your arms also down and then straighten your leg. After your run, after your cycling session, even after your day's work, you can simply put your legs up in this fashion. You can also do this against the wall. Just lie down against the wall where the wall is behind you and your legs are against the wall. You will be able to rest your back much more comfortably. Then you will come up. Those were some of the props that we used. The second part of the props, we will use the chair and the stool together. So, you are going to do what typically is called Pavanamuktasana, which is lying on the back and catching onto the shin and bringing the head up. But again, if everyone is not able to do that, in that case there is a version that Guruji thought of, which is using using the stool. You may have to use the bolsters depending on your height, using the chair. So, you are sitting onto the chair. As I said, you may use the bolster. So, you are creating a bridge between the chair and the stool with the bolster, and then going over it. So, if I have knee condition, if I have back condition, if I am elderly, I am aged, I can't lie down and catch my shins and catch my thighs and lie in that position and stay there longer. People, those who have hypertension, if you have to go for a forward extension, understand how without making your back hunch, you can get the length of the back, you can get the abdominal pressure which is generated in Pavanamuktasana because of this support, and at the same time you get a chance to rest. So, you may take a blanket, fold that blanket, so your nose does not get pressed, use that blanket, use that bolster, so you are resting there. So, in this fashion there is no tension on your back, there is no tension on your any of the rib muscles. So, your spine, your paraspinal muscles, you can even turn your head to one side. So, now find out how your spinal muscles, the back muscles, the front muscles, everything gets a chance to be restful. Now, it is much easier to stay in this position for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes without any effort whatsoever. So, find out how restful this becomes. Allow your abdomen to be quiet, soft. Allow your chest muscles to be quiet, soft. Allow your back to become restful. And then come up. If you want to increase the range of the same movement or similar movement, if I have had say my knee injury or something, and if I want to increase the movement without using the bolster, just have your knees closer to each other and bend forward over it. Just catch there, catch your ankles, release your head down. Allow your abdominal body to support your back. Make your back muscles to spread over the front body. If you need, you may use a teepot or something and rest your forehead also. Then you will come up. In Shirshasana and Sarvangasana, people often find it difficult to learn it right in the center because of the problem of balancing. Shirshasana, you can use the wall and just go to Shirshasana with a wall support in such a manner that that wall is holding you and giving you that balance. So, you can just put a blanket against a wall, close to the wall, interlock your fingers, place your head properly, and you have to just lift your leg and go to Shirshasana. Even those who can balance, once you go against the wall, find out how that teaches us the sense of quietness of Shirshasana. So, those who cannot balance, the wall will help you to balance and give you confidence. Those who can balance, find out when you go against the wall how sober that Shirshasana becomes compared to when you are struggling and balancing with hardness in the center.
Same way you can come down, you can bend your legs and come down.
We need to understand all these are mediums. As body, as Guruji says, body is my first prop. These become our secondary props. For our beta learning, inwardly learning, yoga learning, all these are going to help us much more. Like you have used the other props like wall, stool, chair, a simple set of bolsters, a simple set of blankets become much more useful for us to learn asanas. Guruji often said Sarvangasana and Sarvangasana variations are meditative asanas. When you have the chin lock, when the chin comes down close to the chest, it is not just the physical chin coming down, it is also our brain, our thinking faculty and our emotional faculty. The head and the heart, they come close to each other. If we have to stay in Setubandha Sarvangasana for again longer period of time, more often than not it becomes harder. A set of two bolsters will help us to do that. You can just keep those two bolsters one over the other lengthwise. You can sit over that, keep your legs bent first, lie on your back in such a manner that your entire spine is held and slide down till you reach down with your shoulders. So, your shoulders come to the ground, then you can lengthen your legs. Those of you, if you have a backache, you can keep your feet on the height, the same height. So, you can have a little more another couple of bolsters or a teepot where you keep your feet on the height and lie down in this position. As you lie down in this position, observe how the shoulders are down, the entire rib cage has the expanse, how the entire sky and the space above is spreading, this chest spreads like that space. Your abdominal body is lengthened, your diaphragmatic body is getting the chance to get the work on it. Bring your chin and chest closer with the throat quiet. Close your eyes completely. With your eyes closed, exhale and inhale. With that push that is coming to the dorsal region, that is behind the chest, find out how from there, how the fountains come up from the water, how that fountain of breath is spreading in your chest. Keeping your eyes quiet, keeping your face quiet, allow your brain to be close to the heart. Keep your ears, eardrums, the inner ears soft. Do not let it get hardened. Stay there for a few cycles of breath. Having stayed there for a few minutes, one by one bend your legs, be on your shoulders and with your hands push the bolsters all the way back or slide off the bolsters. turn to the side and get up. The last Shavasana that you are doing for this session, you will use those same bolsters, those same blankets as some weight on your thighs. So, you are putting those bolsters on your thighs, you are putting those extra blankets, you can put it on your shin also, you can put the rest of the blankets on the thighs. Now, thighs, the quadriceps are the big muscles in our body. What do big muscles do? The big muscles more often than not have that puffiness, they have that almost requirement of our breath also. If we are able to rest that puffiness of the muscles, we are able to be better restful. So, keeping that weight on your thighs, you will spread your arms, keep your head in the center, close your eyes. Feel that weight on your shin and on your thighs. Allow your legs to gravitate. Allow your entire muscular body to gravitate. Very often we think life is a burden. If we get pressed under it, we get depressed. But we accept it, we surrender it, that helps us to live through the situations better. As you are going for Shavasana, learn to be quiet, learn to surrender. Also understand, quietness is a matter of decibel level. Your Shavasana has to take you towards calmness. Vritti Nirodha is not just suppressing the vrittis. We need to have that reflective acceptance. So, as you stay in that Shavasana, learn to accept, learn to be calm, and that calmness is state of mind, state of being. Completely let go. Maintain that calmness. Feel the hope and gratitude. Yoga teaches us to live with that hope, with that positivity, recognizing that these lessons, this learning has come to us feel the gratitude towards it. Bring your palms in. Remove the bolsters of your thighs. One by one, bend your legs. Turn to the side completely and get up. And that's all.